We're out here at the Army of Darkness Secret Proving Ground in West Virginia. I brought riding buddies with me. Beautiful day. We've got about 45 degrees right now. It's supposed to get up to around 65 later, and now we get to go and try out the new TM. So I'm a mediocre enduro rider at best, but when I went to Italy and I saw the TM factory, I fell in love with the TMs, and I really just wanted to have the experience of getting to own one. So I came home and I found a 300 Fi for sale at T-Bone and Earl's up in Maryland, and I just had to have it, so I went up there and bought it. Mainly what I do is either practice for sprint enduros or try to race sprint enduros. I'm a super senior C rider, so I'm not that good at it, but I really enjoy the sport, and I really enjoy the people, and I really enjoy the bike, so that's what we're doing. Some of the modifications that I did to the bike for that is I put these tubeless on the wheels. You know, they have their pros and cons, but I like them because I can run really low pressures, and it's a little bit less of a hassle than Moose's for me. So I've got those on there. The other thing is I stepped down the tires. So it comes stock with a 140, but I've got a 110 on here to kind of keep it in the ruts a little bit better. I took off the taillight to clean it up a little bit, and I also took out the headlight because I didn't need that, so I just put a number plate on as well. I cut the handlebars down an inch. I was tagging trees, so I narrowed it up a little bit, and then these are just wraparounds to try to keep my hands out of the trees. You can see it's got the clear gas tank, so you can see there's the fuel level right there. This is the oil tank. I find the oil tank's actually a little hard to see how much oil is in it, but there is a light that comes on the dash, and if you ignore the light, the bike will eventually start running poorly to let you know. And I could, that's how I found out that it was very low, because it's sort of a slightly tinted plastic, so it was a little harder for me to see that was running low. To fill the oil tank, you take the seat off, and then you can fill it up, and it does seem to last like 10 hours or something, so the oil lasts a really long time. The older TMs had port injection, so there was a fuel injector right in here, and sometimes if you smash the pipe, it would break that fuel injector. This is a 2022, so it's got throttle body injection. Probably it's not showing up on this video right now, but the injector's down there in a throttle body, so it's almost like a pseudo carburetor setup. It has both a Kickstarter and an electric starter, which is nice because I do find the electric starter is a little hit or miss on this. So it's nice to have that Kickstarter, especially on cold mornings. And then once it's running and warmed up, the e-start works great on the hillsides and all that kind of stuff. Other things, I'm kind of weird in that I got into dirt bikes late in life. I'm really more of a road racer. So I always run my brake pedal a little bit lower than people. So I actually cut the adjuster shorter in here so that I can run this brake pedal a little bit lower. So that's another thing that I did. Obviously the frame is polishing up nicely from my boots, and it's got the softer suspension that Drew Smith built for me already installed on it. Oh, I put a Recluse in it. So I really like the Recluse clutches. I understand that they're, depends on what kind of riding style you have. I can understand certain types of riding they wouldn't be good, but for the type I do, they bail me out of a lot of issues. It's a little bit of a weird thing because Recluse doesn't make a kit for the TM, so this is a collaborative kit that I put together with Earl at T-Bone and Earl's and Recluse, and also a little bit of my own magic in there. I'll do a whole thing on how to install a Recluse in these, or at least how I did it, and then by that point I'll have realized all the mistakes I made. But I do have a Recluse in it as well. When I got the bike, the clutch wasn't working because the push rod that went through the engine was either chipped or leaking, so the slave cylinder for the hydraulic clutch, which is this thing over here, this piece here was leaking fluid into the gearbox. So the clutch wasn't working, but we put a new rod in there, changed the seals on this, and then with the recluse spacing, that's made it all better, and so I haven't had any problems with that again. Idle, and I did have to turn up the idle a little bit with the recluse to keep it idling well. It's got these Brembo brakes on the front, which are really nice. It has Nissan in the rear, right there, which is fine. One thing about this bike, I don't really have a ton of two-stroke experience. And a lot of times the two strokes I've ridden, the power is sort of, you know, it follows the curve of the pipe, and so sometimes it's a little unpredictable, especially on these single track trails. But the power on this 300 is really very, very linear. Also, it's counterbalanced, so it's just smooth. It's smooth, it's very powerful, but it's also linear. Most of the time I'm in third gear on this single track, so I just keep it in third, let the recluse knock off some of the edges for me, and that's my fastest way through these trails. If I put it in second, I feel like every time I touch second gear, I just end up vertical because the bike's so powerful that if I put it in first or second, I'm just like at 12 o'clock instantly. So, but if I keep it in third, it calms it down a little bit. The downside to that a little bit is because I'm in third a lot, and the recluse also takes some of that hit off, that sometimes when I'm hitting logs, I'm not as smooth as on my four-stroke where I can time the throttle hit just right. I'm still kind of adapting on this one as to exactly when I have to touch that throttle to time the lift. Fortunately, the bike is so light that it clears all the logs whether I time them correctly or not. I don't know that I'm any faster than on my YZ250 FX. I mean, probably, but that would be a limitation on me because I'm really not that good a rider. But every single person, every one of my friends that rides this bike comes back and says the same thing, which is they can't believe how smooth it is. They can't believe how smooth the engine is. Also, they can't believe how fast it is, because even in fifth gear or sixth gear going across a field or a straightaway, it's still trying to wheelie. I mean, it's insanely fast once you get it up on that pipe. But that said, if you're down low in the RPM, I basically try to ride it in the woods just high enough to keep the recluse locked up, but also out of the power so that if I'm hitting roots or something, it's not throwing me off the trail. So I've probably got about 12 or 14 hours on the bike now, and I love it. I've got a Beta 350 that I bought at the same time that I've never ridden yet. I ended up with both sort of by accident, and I thought, well, you know, I'll probably just try this TM. I'll realize I can't ride a 300, and then I'll end up building out the Beta and racing that instead. But I really love the TM aesthetic. I really like the feel of it. I really love how smooth it is. So I think I'm going to keep trying the TM and see if I can just become a better rider.
Okay, now get back on your TTR.
That's right.
No, you can't have it back.